right. Good morning, everybody. Hey, excited to be with you and excited to be with Mr. Bryan Burnett. And I know Russ is going to separate the things. So I want to just give people a few minutes to get logged in, which they have. We got a great group and it's going to be an awesome day. All right. With that, let's get rolling. I know that Bryan was going to be doing that. Maybe that's I'm looking at his thing, and maybe Russ or Jason can get it to where we're separating each other off. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Burnett. What is
What's up? Can
happening?
you hear me?
I can.
All right.
All right, how you doing today?
Good.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you for spending time with us. And like every great producer, I often think myself, boy, the fact that we get a chance to spend some time with you just because money is time and time is money. So let's just start here just really quick. Just talk a little bit about how you got started in the business, where you started, what got you started. And I just, as people are getting rolling into this and are showing up online, I just want to remind people that Bryan has been ranked as the #1 agent in the company for many years, especially as an individual agent. And then he's moved into expanding, which we're going to talk about in regards to your team. And then as we move into that, just looking at your history, I still remember way back in the day, I don't know, 15 plus, or gosh, more than that, 20 plus years ago, we were out there competing with for sale by owners up in the Salt Lake or Wasatch Front area. And so it's been an incredible journey to watch what you've achieved, who you've become, your family, and just everything. So just again, so proud of you, so happy for you, so excited for you. And thank you for all that you do, Bryan.
Well, thank you, George. Obviously, I've been with your company for, I don't know, how many years?
I don't know. I
Six?
was trying to, what do you think it is? What would we be, 8, 9, 10? Are we have we hit
Is it
10?
that much? Whatever it is, like it's been a pleasure, and obviously you guys have created a great environment for me and my team to thrive. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Well,
And
my fun part was
thank
when
you
you
for
came
leaving the
in. What?
business when we were competing,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
My only claim to fame is I didn't get the phone call that they decided to list with you, but in fairness, I think I might get that call today if we were out there doing our thing. So yeah, it's cool. And then you know what? I actually, and then we'll jump into it. I want to hear about how you got started. But guys, when I met Bryan, he was a newer licensee. He was out there, of course, hustling like so many of us do. And then, as I mean, one of the great things you did, of course, is you picked up your family and said, "Hey, we want to raise our family down in St. George, Utah, or the St. George surrounding area." And you picked up and you started from ground zero. So the incredible thing is a lot of people don't get is that you started your career essentially over twice, which is already hard enough to do once, but you did it again down there in the St. George area. And then of course you've just blown up your career to just epic levels where you're making 3, 4+ million a year, selling 150 plus homes a year, and just incredible story. So let's just talk about it. How did you get your start? What inspired you to get into real estate?
Well, I basically, when I was on a mission for the church for two
Okay.
years. Like prior to that, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no clue. And in fact, sales was definitely not an option because I was very introverted, shy. I just did not even comprehend it. But, being out there for 2 years and just doing it every day, I found out, hey, I kind of like this. And also, I grew up in a very poor town and I had no idea what was even out there. And then when I was in Texas, you'd meet very like wealthy people and you just started to understand certain principles and like just opportunities that are out there. I had no idea. So when I came back, I was like, I'm definitely going to get into sales. I didn't know what to do. And I started to go to college. I remember I was even going into engineering actually at Utah Tech. And I met with the Utah Tech counselor, and he's like, I remember him saying, Bryan, you don't make any money and it's very boring. And I was like, okay. So I didn't do that. So then I started going around to like all of the like just anywhere to get a sales job. I went to the mall, furniture stores, like no one would hire me because like, hey, you don't have any experience. I didn't have a job,
Sure.
you know what I mean? So then I was with my dad one day, he's like, hey, you should just do real estate. And then it kind of like hit me like, oh, that is a great opportunity. So got my license.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I love it. Well, let me ask you this. What would you say shifted? I mean, there's so many things that people appreciate you and about you and what you are. And one of my favorite, of course, stories is that oftentimes over the years, people have come down to watch you prospect and think there's going to be, of course, pure magic just because someone picked up the phone. And if, Bryan Burnett picked up the phone, of course, every single call he sets an appointment and no one ever hangs up on Bryan ever. And what I have always appreciated with the people who have visited you is that you've been very honest and real and authentic, and that people will be in the past have stood there, sat there, watched you prospect, and they begin to. There's two things I find interesting they come away with, and there's probably more, but one is the simplicity and the way that you've simplified the business. The second component is that they kind of think, well, he makes it look so easy, it must be really easy. So for you, just from a pure skill set standpoint, which I know that you do a lot of skill building, not only with you and your team and for the many years, but what do you think has helped you shape the greatest skill sets that you have, or the refinement of selling and presenting and prospecting, setting appointments, and all the skills that are necessary to where you've become so efficient in that arena and so talented in that arena? What do you think has made that for you?
I would say, I mean, over the years, I put a lot of work into just training and practice and drilling. And I think in this industry, it just doesn't happen. You know, I always compared myself always to like a professional athlete. I was always reading and studying and watching, like they practice way more than they play, right? And so I went to so many skill seminars, so many. And I always had script practices with in the mornings, and I did my own stuff. I'd write out the scripts every day for years. Like it was just nonstop practicing. And then I also committed to, 50 contacts per day. So you're also getting those reps in all day long, every day. And it's just time. I'm not a naturally great salesperson, I would say. I'm more of like a trained, practiced salesperson.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Bryan, I think back of all the moments that really where this is over these last many years, the majority of our conversations, especially early on, especially for several years as you joined the company, it was always, well, what do you say when this is said? What do you say when that is said? And it is pretty impressive that you've come up with, of course, the conclusion that your skill sets are a defining difference essentially to your success. And that, to your point, you treat it as if you're a professional, you've treated it as if it's a job, you've treated it as if it really mattered. And it was not just only relationship based, but you built these incredible relationships all these years because of the skills that you've built. What would you say in relationship to your mindset? And I would love it if you just weaved a little bit in between your mindset, and maybe we can expand on it, but your mindset and your mental toughness, your belief in yourself, but also in alignment with, or what would you speak to in regards to discipline? Like you said, hey, I made 50 contacts a day, and you talk to 50 people a day. So this combination between your mind and your actions, just expand on that, and what either advice you would have, or what's worked for you, or what has meant the most to you, just some of those really core ingredients to your mind and to your discipline.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've been thinking about that a lot the last couple of days because now that I have my team, it's like when I look at them, like the biggest challenge they have is like their self-belief,
Yeah.
just believing in themselves and the confidence. But for me, that comes from the fundamental drills. Like if you know that you are literally, if you're out working everybody, that you're out drilling or out practicing, there's a natural confidence that's going to come. And so I feel like it's two things. It's the practice and the drilling, and it's just getting the reps in, and then seeing those conversion into success, and then continue to build on it, and just not stopping. So the biggest challenge agents have is they can't keep it up when they're in the middle of rejection. They just can't handle it. And then number two is agents have a little bit of success and they can't handle success. It's more than they thought they could do, and then they just their thermostat forces them to stop. Whereas or where I try and teach, it's just the fundamentals. Doesn't matter if it's good or a bad day, you just commit to what you said you're going to do, and just you keep the emotions kind of between, don't go too high, don't go too low, just keep it in the mid range,
Between the lines, right?
but between the lines, and just keep moving forward.
So, uh, expand on let's expand on that just a little bit, right? Because oftentimes we meet people who have a deep sense of belief. It could oftentimes be the way they were raised, the culture they were in, maybe different friends, trainers, environments, and whatnot. And then there's people who have often been either even beaten down, talked down, told how either poor or bad they are in some framework. Unfortunately, in the world we live in, the magnitude of abuse and different things of that sort. What are some core principles that you would say, all right, and I want you to expand on this. And I know that you've ebbed and flowed with this, but and that is specifically to meditation. But give just two or three more, like maybe expand a little on meditation, what it's meant to you, done for you. And number two, what are two or three other things that you say, man, these are actual tools that I do on a daily basis or weekly basis that make sure or ensure my future with my mental toughness, my belief in myself, my confidence, certainty, any word that, might resonate for our audience.
So
But what are
meditation,
key things you're doing, and then expand on meditation for yourself?
yeah, meditation's always been a part of my practice for years and years and years. And so essentially I would do every morning just a short meditation, maybe 20 minutes. And it's basically just really envisioning the future, and just like really feel the emotions of what it'd be like to have the business that you have, the family that you want to have, the home that you want to have, the people in your life you want to have. Like, your body can't tell the difference between reality and what's in your mind. And so if you're believing you're already there, you're going to actually perform and act as if you're already there. Therefore, you're playing at a higher level. It's just a matter of time until you get there.
I love it. What else do you do? What else keeps your mindset strong? What's part of your structure, your regimen, the personal disciplines and rituals? What other two or three things would you recommend for the group to do?
Yeah, you just gotta have really good routines. So for me, like, the morning routine is huge. So we talked about meditation. Number two is just like fitness. Fitness is like a huge part of it, where come in early and you work out really hard and you get those endorphins, and you do the hardest thing that you could possibly do for that day, challenging, and you pass it. You're gonna come away from that already feeling very happy and very proud of yourself and
Yeah,
seeing progress. So you're coming into the day with from the meditation and the workout, like physically and mentally, you're already at like a peak level. It's at 7 in the morning now.
love that. Okay, so meditation, fitness. Give us some one or two more. Because look,
So
you know this, Bryan. I mean, that one of the great, even with your amazing team, the great struggle with people's mindsets is I actually think this too. They believe that people just show up and they just have a strong mindset. But to your point, you grew up in a poor town, you were out knocking doors as a missionary, you came back, you didn't quite know what you were going to do, you had all these moments of uncertainty, but you still somehow figured out to bring together this belief and this confidence within yourself. And there's no question that success can breed that. And people go, oh, well, Bryan, it's no big deal. I mean, you're already successful. Well, there was a day where you were only dreaming about the things that you're doing. You were maybe even questioning the things that you're doing, whether or not they were possible. So I just hope that people really, really conclude on the fact that Bryan, to your point, has made himself to be this person. You didn't just show up this way. It wasn't just like, oh, well, I've always had this belief in myself, and I always could talk to people, and I was always an extraordinary salesperson. So for you, give us just two or three more. So your fitness, meditation, give us, and they can be quick, but what are two or
Yeah.
three more things that you would do for your mindset and your rituals or routines?
Well, even if I didn't do these things, I still struggle mentally with this business and my self-belief at times. Like the challenges are different nowadays. But if I didn't do these things, I would struggle. We live in a pretty like negative world, right? There's a lot
Yeah.
of challenges, and as I grow up and my kids grow up, there's different challenges and phases that we go through. I'd say obviously faith is a big part of my life, so my faith is strong. I work on that, so that's like a grounding thing for me as well.
So obviously a big, strong connection to God is
Yeah,
fundamental. I mean, you can look at all the research on this, right? It doesn't, we're not talking specifically to religions, but to that faith in God has a specific power to your presence and to your belief and your faith of the future of to the future, right?
yeah, 100%.
Love it.
Much better person because of that. A couple other things that I love to do is I always journal like at night. Hey, this is what I'm. This is these are some wins that I had. Here's what I'm doing tomorrow. And then when I get to the office, my agents will see me. I write down every day contacts, goals, appointments, list. I always just write everything. So it's constantly just focus on that goal.
I love that. What would you what speak to goals? Uh, what would you say about the importance of goals? I'll often meet agents who say, I don't believe in goals, or I don't like to set goals because I'm going to get disappointed. Just goals are not my thing. I mean, you hear it all the time. What would you say specifically about goals? A person like yourself who's a super achiever, someone who's accomplished a tremendous amount and is certainly not done. What would you say specific to goals?
Yeah, I just can't really comprehend that. I don't know. Like not having sorry.
I can't either when I hear it, but I hear it and I hear it consistently where it scares people. I mean, or, they want to act like it's not real or there really is no goals and they just want to live and exist and not move towards something. But besides not comprehend it, what would you say specific to goals?
Well, just one with our team, I'm always trying to get them to stay connected to their goals. So a lot of times we'll write down a goal, we'll put it in our drawer, and then that's it. But like, just stay connected. And I always will ask like, dude, why do you, okay, that's your goal, but why do you want that goal? And it's usually something for more than just, yourself.
Yeah.
Usually family, my parents, my kids. It's usually something else that really, or maybe it is just, hey, I would love to have that new car or that new house, like whatever. There's all kinds of motivations out there. You just gotta
Talk
find
about
your own.
how this maybe a little, let's just expand. How do you set goals? Is it an annual thing, weekly thing, daily thing? Just give us just some insight of how you set goals.
Well, I'd always have an annual goal,
Okay.
like definitely, and then you work your way back.
And
And
is
just
this something where you take a few days and you set aside and you're like, all right, or is it a little more simpler than that? Is it just, it takes you an hour and you sit back about what you want to do, you've meditated and you've thought through just a little bit of what you want your life to look like and you set it and go, or is it a
yeah,
bigger process than that?
so I would start working on my 2026 goal like probably end of October,
Okay.
right around there. And it takes a few days. Yeah, you really analyze the previous year, like, okay, how did it go? What did I learn? What did we do? What did we not do? What went wrong? And then you look at your business, your health, your family, your finances, like all those areas, and just see, okay, what would I love to see happen next year? what kind of scares me, what's a little bit bigger than I think I can do, but also a real, like, there's a reality that it could happen, right?
Right.
And then then just work it back. So then work it down into like a 30 a monthly, and then you work it down to a weekly and a daily, and then you basically work it all the way down to what do I need to do today to make this dream happen. Or like you could work it down from like in the next 3 hours during my prospecting time, what needs to happen for my yearly goal to happen. So if you really
Love it.
you can make it super simple. All I have to do is come in and set one appointment today. Buyer or seller, I don't care. If I just set that,
Right.
the yearly will happen. It's just a matter of,
Everything else takes care of itself in so many words, right?
yeah, exactly.
Hey, talk about two or three disciplines. I presume fitness is one of your core disciplines on a daily basis. Prospecting is a core thing. And I love the fact it's not just you have a team and you say, hey, go prospect. You're prospecting with them, right?
Yeah.
So you're leading by example. You're doing the very same thing you're asking them to do. You're not, hey, go do this, even though I'm not doing it. I'm not. You're legitimately involved in setting aside time. And let's get one, and then expand on what your schedule looks like on a typical day, uh, specific to prospecting. Then I want to get deeper into your schedule. But what does your prospecting look like with your team? And what does your prospecting look like from a standpoint of how much time you spend doing it?
So so my schedule today is we jump on the phones 8 or just before 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And then we have a quick break at 8:30 for a couple role plays. And then we go to 11. So I do 3 hours every morning.
All right.
And then I usually do, a lot of times, if I don't have appointments, I'll do another hour, either of prospecting or just lead like follow up. So
So
I'm still
let's make sure,
minimum
hold
of
on, just
three.
let's pause it. So you will prospect for 3 hours. Is it in today's, I mean, there used to be a day I know that was, but is it still possible that in that 3 hour period of time that you may not have set an appointment?
Yeah.
And so then you're like, wait, hold on a second here. I just want everyone to hear that. He could have prospected for 3 hours today, and you may not have set an appointment. And then if you don't have any appointments, you'll exchange that time for an appointment for more prospect.
Generation. Yeah. Lead follow up, generation, whatever.
Yeah, I love it. I just I wish people would get the fact that they have to talk with more people. And there's this thing that I feel is so simple, and yet you do it so well, Bryan, where you don't, you're not worried about the framework of whether you're prospecting for 3 or 4 hours in a day. I mean, even in other moments, as you were elevating your skill sets and getting to even more refinement, how many hours a day at one point were you prospecting, even back in the back further back when your skills weren't as good? What was it? 5 hours, 6 hours? Was
Yeah.
it?
So, dude, there was a 10-year period where I did 5 hours a day, 50 a day for 10
Yeah,
years.
yeah. So expand on who you call, or maybe who you've called, and who you would recommend even agents to call today. What does that look like for you from a sourcing standpoint in your prospecting?
Yeah, not much has changed. So basically, expireds for sell by owners, of course,
Okay.
and databases are my biggest. So just like past clients, center of influence, and then just listed, just sold even still.
Yeah. Well, and you did such a sensational job. I remember years ago, as you were expanding and saying, okay, hey, look, I'm just moving here to St. George, bringing my family. And you said, well, hold on a second here. Who should I be calling? And I distinctly remember a conversation with you where you started calling non-owner occupied property, which essentially would be just listed, just solds.
Yeah,
But you really, just because you didn't have a sphere, it's, to me, it seemed like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I certainly, I could be wrong, but it seems like you really made that group of people, these non-owner occupieds, as a general statement, you made it your sphere.
yeah, essentially. So Salt Lake,
Yeah, go ahead, please.
you guys have lots of for sale by owners expireds, and that's all I called up there. It was great business. Then it came to St. George and there's only like one for sale by owner, maybe a day, maybe a couple of expireds at the time. My parents lived in St. George, but I didn't know anybody else. So essentially, yeah, I called just listed, just sold absentee owners all day long. And I would have conversations. And if I didn't set an appointment, but if someone had said, hey, yeah, we're definitely going to sell within a year. Do you guys have an agent? No. Do you mind if I stay in touch? I'd add to my database. And I just kept stacking those for years. So I have a pretty big
Great.
database now.
I love it. So talk about just the percentage of your business. How much of your business is coming from your sphere or from the things that you're that you've past clients and centers of influence your database, and how many are and then just maybe a little bit of a framework of where other sources of business are coming from and where your focus has been so the group can hear that.
Yeah, so I think we're like 60% of mine is past clients, center of influence, and referrals and agent referrals.
And that'll equate
There's
to
a
about
lot.
how many transactions a year? Just your sphere, past clients, database. What would you
Like on my
say? Get what's a
on
guesstimate?
the personal side of the business, if I did 120, 150 deals, probably like, I don't know, 80 of those.
Yeah. I hope people
70.
hear that because I mean it's that statement. Is it fair to say that even though you're expanding who you are, your leadership, you're building your team, you're doing some things that you haven't done before, you're doing an incredible job with it. It's exciting to see. But is it fair to say that the business truly has gotten easier because of what you've done with your sphere, even though you're like, wait a second here, let's expand some of these other areas, specifically the team. But has your business gotten easier as time has gone on?
Yeah, oh for sure. Yeah, if you are just starting off, you definitely want to like create a database and work it, have a system to work it and treat them very well. Every day, every month, you'll get recurring business from that if you work it right.
Yeah. How did you how did you work through one of the things I also observe, I have some observations of you, Brian, but like when COVID hit, when the pandemic hit, when the NAR stuff is going down and everyone's going sideways from COVID to NAR lawsuits. And how did you respond to those things or to news or to interest rates or, unemployment, recession, tariffs, politics, all the noise? How did you, because some of your most productive years I've seen have been during when everyone's like trying to put the thumb down or stop business or the pandemic or interest rates. Now it's tariffs and politics and Trump. And how are you staying focused? How do you do
Yeah.
that?
Well, I've obviously had great like coaches, but here's the funny thing. Say any one of those things, and the answer to that would be take more listings. Oh, COVID hit. Well, you better take more listings, Brian. Okay. Oh, interest rates are way up. Oh, you better take more listings. Okay. So it's funny. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, the answer is to take more listings.
Yeah. Well, and what an incredible response, because if you simply are saying, "Hey, if I just do more, I counter the challenge of the markets, whatever those issues are within the markets," right? If I'm not setting enough appointments, obviously you're going to be wise enough to say, "Well, then I got to prospect more and I got to get better at what I do." So my observation is you're again putting this entire business that you have and recognizing that you have a particular position and place you want to be in it in regards to the economics and the money you earn. Okay, you're gonna fill in the gaps, whatever it takes to get there. And knowing you, as long as it's moral, ethical, and honest, you're gonna get there.
Yeah.
And it's incredible to watch because I think it is fascinating to me that people will observe in you how simple it is, and yet they won't do it, or how simple it is and they think it's like, well, then it came to you easy, and yet I also know you've paid a tremendous price to get as good as you are and to be as skilled as you are. So it's a really cool thing to watch, and I think we often get very naive in regards to that. Let's talk about so oftentimes, Brian, you don't know this. Maybe you do know this. I'm going to tell you something. People go, oh, well, I wouldn't want to prospect, 4 or 5 hours a day. I mean, for 10 hours, I mean, I wouldn't want to work that hard. I wouldn't want to do, I mean, I want my time. Can you just share with me? I mean, I know the answer. Uh, do you travel? Do you think you have a good life? Do you see your family? Are you the dad you want to be? Not that we can't all get better, but do you feel like you're able to serve for you religiously? I mean, do you feel like you have a life just because you prospect like you do, in so many words?
Yeah, honestly, yes. Like to make what we can make in this business and not have to travel and go on business meetings around the country or the world and be home for dinner with your family. Like yeah, like I'm landscaping my backyard. We're putting a pool in, a patio, and there's this young kid out there. I don't know how old he is, 20 something. He's out there working before I leave the house, just laboring away, right? And then I pull up at to come home from work and he's still out there in the sun laboring. And I'm almost embarrassed that he's still working. And he's like the nicest guy. And I'm like, that's my next candidate
You got
for
your
an
soft, buttery hands, no calluses.
dude. Yeah, I'm like, if that
Yep.
guy knew what he could make in our business, he would just destroy everybody
Yep.
because it's just work ethic. So that's the thing that people are missing nowadays, especially in this business, is work ethic. I've I don't know why it is. Maybe because we've had it so easy for the last several years.
Too
Every,
much candy, too much sugar, right?
too much
It had
candy.
been a very easy market for so many years.
Yeah.
Talk about your team. What do you want your team to look like? In some words, what's next for Bryan Burnett?
Yeah. So we've been running the team for what, 4 or 5 years, right? Ish. I didn't really want a team at that point, but we had an agent kept coming in and like, okay, let's do it. But
Sure.
it's been really fascinating the last year or two. It's taken some time to figure out my why and like who we'd want on our team. And right now I'm super just like grateful for the team because it's giving me a chance to expand like my ability to lead and be a leader and go to like a next level. And also what I've decided is give me the right type of people. And I want to create an environment that I wish I would have had in the business growing up, where basically I could be successful a lot more quicker with the knowledge and the ability and the systems to just because I feel like for the training that agents get mostly this today is just not that great out there. So if
Yeah.
I can create an environment where I love to be and someone can come in and be very successful, I find a lot of joy in that. And I've also figured out like who the type of agent we want on our team, like our culture.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And with that, I find a lot of like joy in building a team.
So for you, Bryan, how about this? What was your first goal when you got into this business as a new licensee? What was the goal that drove you, or the why at that time? I mean, and how long have you been in the business now? How many years?
Since 2002,
Okay, so 23-ish years. So when you were in your first year or so or two, what were your goals?
I don't know. I was just like trying to pay for college at that time.
Okay.
And I remember thinking if I can make 100,000 a year, I would be just so happy. That'd be amazing. So that was my first big
You would
goal.
have achieved. It would have been all over.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I certainly know some of the answers because you and I have and do follow some of the same great mentors and friends. In fact, uh, I'm down in Vegas because, as you know, tomorrow, the next day, we start our events with some of the things that we're doing with Mike Ferry and some management stuff that we're doing. But what helped shape the way you thought about thinking big? And I remember when you were earning 500,000, then you went to 1 million, then 1 million to like 1 point, I don't know, 6, 7, 8. You probably remember the numbers. And then you went to like 2.3, and then you went to three something, and then you're at four. Like,
never hit four, George.
well,
Don't
I know
start
you're
there.
just under. I'm rounding up, man. Come
Not
on,
even
we're
close.
reasonable.
No, I think the highest was three.
Okay, oh, it was the highest was three. All right. Well, how about this? What's the goal to what I know the goal. Are you okay sharing the goal?
Sure.
What's the goal? What do you want to achieve economically with you and your team?
Yeah, so our overall goal is to be at 1,000 transactions,
There you go.
but not a huge team. I'm talking like 20 or under.
Yeah,
So just a small group of like assassins, like just very highly skilled um agents, not and still in whether and then part of that's my own personal production. I'm still would like to be in
sure.
production. So yeah, that's our next goal.
I love it. So let me ask you this. If you were sitting down with, and you do, because of course with your team, you have some that are of course experienced, but also new. And you were sitting there with a particular agent who was either brand new, but but struggling. They've been in it long enough to where they're like, man, this is a little tougher than I thought it was going to be. And this is a little harder than I thought it was going to be. And they may not be having the success that they really want. What would be your advice to them as a newer licensee? And then we're going to switch to if you're an experienced agent who isn't having the success that you should be having. But what would you tell a newer licensee? And the answer may be the same, but what would you tell a newer licensee?
Yeah, basically we've had this conversation recently, and I would engage in a 90-day plan.
Okay.
I would do a 90-day plan, and I would say, okay, I'm going to do more than I've ever done. I'm going to take a massive action. And we have a plan. It's all written out. Essentially, X amount of contacts, X amount of prospecting. I'm gonna read this much every day. I'm gonna write my goals. I'm gonna preview this many homes. Like it's a massive action for 90 days. And the thing is you do it every day and you don't miss. It's literally impossible. And if you don't have the success, then maybe it's just not the right business for you, honestly.
Okay. So
Sometimes
you so you've mapped out like, hey, if you do these particular things, you're going to win the game.
it's really hard not to.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So some of those things were previewing homes, prospecting, right? I presume reading, studying,
Practice,
like
reading. Yep.
practice, fitness.
Yep.
Anything else you would add to that list of things that you would say, man, you make sure these things are getting done and you do, you win the game.
Yeah, I'd basically have my like database, like literally talk to everybody you know, everybody over the
How
next
does an opening conversation with your database look like? Past client, sphere, what would you, if, let's say you haven't talked to them for a few months or maybe even a few years, what would you say?
I would just say, depending on the conversation prior, I was like, hey, this is Brian. Do you have a minute for me? Apologize, I haven't called you in a year. I wanted to let you know I'm still in the real estate business. There's a lot of amazing opportunities in this business right now. I want to check in. Do you need anything? Do you know anyone that could use great service right now? Do you mind if I stay in touch with you?
It's great. Look how simple that was, ladies and gentlemen. I
Hmm.
mean, Brian, it seems like it is so overwhelming for people to call their sphere, and you did it in just about 30 seconds or less. I love it. All right. So as we start to kind of wind down here, if there's any questions anybody has, you're certainly welcome to put those in the chat. But in as we begin to wrap up, what advice would you have for agents today, just in general? What's your pet peeves? What do you see out there? Where do you, from people doing dumb things with their poor leadership or the way they lead out on negotiations or the way they transact business or the way in which people are moving through the business? What would you say to this industry today if we could bring it up a notch? What would you say?
Well, I think agents are looking for any opportunity to do anything besides talk to people. Like honestly, they'll start a team like, hey, I don't want to talk to people. So I'm gonna start a team and maybe I'll buy some leads and distribute them. It never works. Doesn't
Right?
doesn't or I'm just gonna do videos all day and hopefully people will watch and come give me a call. And maybe I'm not saying these things don't work, but like they avoid at all costs just talking to people they know and that they don't know.
Well, they can't predict the future, right, Brian? I mean, the reality is that you may get some business by not talking to people or throwing some social media out or
Yeah.
whatnot. But the issue is predictability. And how do you raise your family or provide for your dreams and your goals when there's not predictability? And predictability is a fundamental to your business. You know that if you call this many people and this type of source, you know you're going to get this type of outcome over time. And that is a very powerful thing, that if you can create predictability, you kind of become that Babe Ruth who, points his bat over left field and then cracks it out of the stadium, because you know that if you do this, certain things happen. And I think you are one of the most incredible examples, Bryan, specifically of creating a predictable business. And yet, what I'm hearing you say is talk to more people, and that creates predictability.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I would just say, hey, stop looking for like the secret, answer or the shortcut. Like stop that. The
Yeah.
other the other problem in the industry is everyone's so emotional. Our biggest challenge typically is other agents just being so emotional and not treating it like a business. And they're emotional because they're high stress. Maybe they're not, the market's tougher than it has been in the past, and they haven't done the work to develop mental strength or their skills. It was so easy a few years ago to be successful.
Hey, you're an order taker.
Yeah, we had a lot of agents that joined in 2021, 22, and they did great, but they have no idea what to do today.
Yeah, I love it. What would you say the just do you have any fear or concern, or maybe even just your perspective of today's markets? And and look, you've always been so honest with me when there's been times where I've seen the office and I say, "Hey, how are things doing going?" And you're like, "Man, it is rough. It is a rough market." And you're very transparent. And not that you're sitting there, bleeding and, whining. It's not a whining. You're not making it worse than it is. You're just calling it as it is. And there's times, of course, to your point where you've said it's been very, very good. But for you today, what would you say? One, what's your perspective of the market, just in general? If client said, "Hey, Bryan, what do you think about the market today?" And I just want to hear how you're positioning yourself. How are you countering with the anticipation or innovation to your business? How are you countering what you believe today's markets are, or in what you've perceived for them? So market, what are you doing to counter it?
Well, first, I would just say this. I always act as if I could be out of business in a year from now, meaning, who
You
knows?
could what? Say it one more
I
time.
could always be out of business a year from now.
Okay.
Technology, whatever. So, get very disciplined with your financials. Like, and I always have my agents put aside X amount every transaction. So that you're not operating at a place of fear, like you're financially sound, right? So I always try to run my business that way. But I would say in today's specific market in St. George, it is a buyer's market. So it's like a very good opportunity to be a buyer right now. So if you're looking to buy a home, you can get really good deals. And the interest rates are a concern to people, but if you can get concessions and all that, it's actually a great opportunity.
Right.
On the listing side, yeah, my biggest challenge is making sure I price them right. There's times where I think I got it nailed on the price, and then it's just nothing happens. And so just having very strong conversations with the sellers, they're too high, you're not going to sell. If you wait, it's going to be worse. And it seems like prices are dropping faster than what people think.
Yeah.
So we're just really honing in on motivation. If the buyer's really motivated, dude, you hold on to them. If the seller's really motivated, go after those ones. If they're not, it might be a waste of time.
Okay. So one of your counters, right, is that you're getting really deep into people's motives so that you're not wasting time as an agent, nor theirs. What are some of the other counters that you're doing from these market conditions, from that standpoint?
I don't know. I mean, the fundamentals will work in any market, right? It's we
Perfectly
I went
said.
I went through '08 and '12. It was way worse.
That's what I keep telling people. I'm like, this is nothing.
Yeah,
This
this is
is
cake.
like what you think is tough. This is nothing.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say anything different than what I've said. Like just the fundamentally, if you fundamentally show up and make those calls and do those follow-ups, you'll find people that have to move.
Yeah.
Like they are getting a job, they're having a baby, someone died, there's a divorce, something has to happen. And there's still plenty of equity out there. So that's nice.
Well, and Brian, one, none of you should perceive the fact that I'm looking for some magical thing. What I like to do this with you, why I like to do this with you, specifically you, and have these conversations is because I know you're not going to come up with some, you know, uh, gimmick, new thing. You're going to get right into the core, the raw disciplines that are necessary, the commitments to making the phone calls, the commitment to working on your mind and your body and your mental health, your commitment to working in regards to the disciplines of whether it's knocking doors, taking the hours, learning the scripts, learning a dialogue, being an extraordinary communicator in this business. And although it seems so simple, the thing that I have observed in you over these many years is the most beautiful part of your success, Bryan, is this simple, who you've become in that process. There's no question you've created tremendous wealth, economics, but man, have you truly become an extraordinary leader. And now you're taking that same leadership, Bryan, you're taking it to a team, and not only will it economically be beneficial, but you're expanding your own personal abilities to lead. And that's a really cool thing, that you haven't just settled, you haven't just given up, you haven't just said, well, I guess that's just as good as I am and as good as it's going to get. It's that you keep going. So let's wrap with just a couple questions. What keeps you going? You and I have had great conversations about your net worth, your wealth, the things that you've achieved. Why are you keep what's making you keep going? Like, what for you, what's important about going?
A good question. I mean, I still have a lot of kids at home. I
Okay.
think I would do good not doing anything. And I don't feel comfortable showing up just like going through the motions. I mean, it's the fun part is actually going after something that's hard, like building
Ooh,
something.
golden nugget. I hope people heard that.
Yeah, like just coasting by has got to be the worst feeling ever. Going after something hard is the fun part, and creating things is the fun part too.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, oftentimes people will say, well, why did you choose whatever you chose? And I said, I just chose. And then I said, okay, I'm going to give it all. I'm going to give everything I have to this, whatever that is. And when we do that, boy, there is such joy in that battle, even though it is some of the most toughest moments of our lives. The thing is that the end reward is that we get to become more than we were today. And as you are, and I am a person of faith, man, my belief is I'm taking that with me. You're not taking any of the money. You're not taking any of the wealth. You
Oh,
may leave some of it for people you love, but you're not taking it personally. And so what are you taking? You're taking who you've become, which is the most powerful part of what this business does. I've said this before, Bryan, but I love bad markets because they make you become a better leader. And I know we'd love it to be easier, but it forces you to become better. And I've watched you in living color rise up through these challenging markets, and you continue to win. And I think it's pretty dang impressive that you continue to do so.
I
Is there
appreciate
anything that you'd like to, I mean, first, obviously you have people that you're interviewing specific to your team.
it. Yeah.
You have, of course, things that you're looking for and character traits and
Yep.
of the obviouses of integrity and other things. Describe what you're looking for your team. If anybody wanted to contact, and then if anybody wanted to contact you and reach out to you, but what are you looking for in regards to your team?
Those are basically three things. And number one is just like blue collar work ethic. So give me someone who's just willing to grind and work. That's number one. Number two is someone that like loves basically people. So our whole business is based around like customer service. Like, how can we give these people the best customer service? So someone that's like willing to work. Two, they naturally are just like to help people. And then number three is just they have enough humility to work on their skills. Like if they're willing to do the skill work, even if they have no natural ability, we can make them into a successful agent. That's it.
That
Just three things.
that is a
If
very
they
powerful
and
statement.
a kicker, if they have a chip on their shoulder, like let's say they're been an outcast or like they didn't come from, the best circumstances and they want it bad. If you give me someone like that, dude, you'll
Yeah.
see like miracles happen.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Bryan, you said something so profound. You said if they are humble enough to work on their skills. And uh, it is mind-blowing to me as the commitment that a salesperson has about looking good, and that if they would just allow the humility to kick in and allow themselves a few moments or many moments of maybe not looking so good, the difference is ginormous economically from that standpoint. So I just think it's incredible, man, incredible that you made that statement. That is a golden nugget. I mean, ask yourself, any of us who are listening, are you humble enough to work on your skills? Are you more committed to looking good than being good? It's that was powerful. Bryan, any last thoughts, comments, anything else you'd like to share with the group?
I mean, we've like obviously have a lot of success down here, but part of it is we have amazing like staff members on my team. We have Tara, Kirsty, and Camille. Like, well, that's one thing that we try to provide is just really amazing systems. And you have to have really amazing people to hold those systems together and to give great service so that if the agents don't have that back end, they're doing it at a low level and they can't focus on more business. So obviously a shout out to our staff and our team and the agents on my
They do an
team.
amazing job.
So
Well,
yeah, I would
and Bryan,
definitely.
just if you can expand to this and one, how to get a hold of you, because one of the things that I love is that, whether it's through relocation and Heather Barker and what we do with our relocation, or whether it's them contacting you direct, the number of homes that you've sold for people up in the coming from or selling off something in the St. George area is pretty darn impressive. And the one thing I do know that if people choose you, then good things are going to happen. If there's a chance this thing's going to sell, I know you're going to get it sold. If it's going to go through, I know you're going to make sure it gets through. And to your point, the testament to your staff, to your systemization, the strategies, tools, technologies that you're using, you have got one incredible group of individuals who support what you do. But I've always appreciated that anything I've ever personally referred you, even in my own world of real estate and friends and family that I've referred you to, I know many others who have had such success. So one, how do they get a hold of you? And two, did you want to just expand just for a second or two on how you would manage a referral? Because I know there's many people from Salt Lake that would love to refer you business.
Yeah, absolutely. They can call. You can look me up on my website or Google search Bryan Burnett. My phone numbers are all on there, or
Okay.
it's in the directory of the company. But yeah, we love referrals. We do a lot of referrals with Salt Lake. We pay referral fees, and you can know that if you refer it to us, like we are going to over communicate with you and the clients, and that's what I tell my agents is as long as you over communicate to your clients all the time, they're never upset with you and they're always going to love you, and that's how you get so many referrals. Just always constantly communicate. So that's one thing we can promise if you send us anyone down here, and then we try to reciprocate too. If whoever sends us a buyer, we try and send business up to them too.
Love it, man. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Any closing thoughts? I mean, just look, I have a closing thought and then I'm going to leave it with you to close us up. But guys, such good stuff. What may seem so simple, and yet it is far more complicated than you think if you're not doing it. But if you'll practice, rehearse, internalize skill sets, if you'll get your mind right and do many of the things that Bryan has been discussing and talking about, if you'll put rituals and routines and disciplines into your day and put the proper structure to his point, you can't fail. So let's make sure that you find a level of commitment within yourself. And to your point also, Bryan, is that you find reasons that drive you. And when you have reasons, and then you bring some mindset, some skills, and some disciplines behind it, you can't lose. The challenge is if we get stuck and get in our own way, that we stop doing the very things that Bryan so gracefully and so well has shared with us. So this whole thing is for the taking. It's why I always say, nothing you can't learn, nothing you can't do, so go do it. And I think, Bryan, you are an incredible example of leadership and dedication and discipline and love of the game for doing it. So I just hope you know how grateful I am for you, grateful for our friendship and our brotherhood, grateful that you're in the company and the example that you are for so many of us. It is incredible to watch what you have created, and I'm even more excited to see what's going to happen. So with that, Bryan, wrap us up. Any last thoughts to this
No,
this motley group? Motley
I would
group.
I would just say, you know what, they're in good company. Like obviously, I get recruited all the time. I mean, like this is like the NIL in college, like you know what I mean? It's like,
Yes.
but I've always stayed here. Just it's a great environment. Like I'm all about the environment and the people that you're around. And so thank you, George, Everest, Tammy down here, providing just an amazing environment for us to thrive. So, couldn't do it without you guys.
Well, you're amazing, brother. And you're to your point, Tammy, Christina, special shout out to you guys. And of course, we're doing some things even with Dakota out there in regards to just the way which we're going to help and try to shape things into the even in the St. George area and just raise the standards of everything that we're doing. And you start looking at the impact. And I want to close with one last thing. Bryan, your legacy of people you have impacted economically because of real estate, families that have been able to do what they need to do for their future, team members, family members who either are on your team currently or have left. I don't know of a single person that is not better because they spent time with you. That's a real testament to the fact of who you are and the character and the integrity. Remember, I just would tell this group, are people better off because they spend time with you? And all of us, Bryan, today are better off because we got to spend time with you. But your impact is tremendous. Everybody I know is better because you showed up. And that's a testament to your leadership and your love and your care for another human being. So you're awesome, man. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, George.
All right, brother. Okay, thanks, guys. Have an incredible rest of the week. And of course, this will go out and we will fire this thing out because it's been recorded. And let's have a great week and let's rock and roll.